Hello, everybody. I'm Simmons, and this is Philosophy for Where We Find Ourselves, March 23rd, 2020. Today, I want to talk about what has so far been the most requested topic. How do we seek truth? How do we navigate this cacophony of voices and all the different authorities that are confronting us via social media and the news and every other outlet that we see? How do we know who to trust? How do we know what's true? Well, philosophers have long debated what even counts as truth. There are three classical views. The correspondence theory says that a statement is true if it corresponds with reality. The coherence theory says that a statement is true if it coheres with all of the other truths and the other beliefs that we hold. And the pragmatic theory says that a statement is true if it's useful. I'm not sure which of these three is the right one. I certainly lean a little closer to correspondence most days, but I think that today, probably the best way to make sense of truth is a really simple idea that comes from a philosopher named Tarski. And the idea is simply this: truth is saying of what is the case that it's the case, and saying of what is not the case that it is not the case. Now, this simple definition, I'm sure, will sound trivial, and yet it's really quite substantive. The idea is this: that truth-telling is labeling things as they are. And so what we need from our leaders, what we need from each other, is simply to be truth-tellers in this sense, that we say of what is the case that it's the case. When it comes to the numbers of infections, that we don't fuzzy the numbers, that we don't hide the truth, but we say of what's the case that it's the case, that the numbers are exponentially increasing, that we say of the death rate, not something to make us feel good or something to scare us, but simply here's the way things are, here's the facts as we understand them, and then encouraging people with expertise in the relevant areas to be able to tell us then the most reasonable response in light of those statistics, in light of that truth. So how do we then figure out, well, who's telling truth? I think there's probably three ways to go forward in this regard. First, ask yourself, what is the context in which someone's speaking? So is someone occupying a role of politician? Are they occupying a role as scientist? Are they occupying a role as friend, as parent? What is the role that they play relative to what it is that they are then saying? This then moves to the second thing. Recognize that there are different modes of what we philosophers call epistemic authority. Namely, different people have different qualifications for being able to be reliable when it comes to truth-telling in different domains. So if I'm a physician, then I have the epistemic authority to tell you the things that are likely to be the case relative to health. If I'm an epidemiologist, I'm likely to be someone who is trustworthy relative to saying of what is the case that it's the case relative to the pandemic. As a philosopher, my expertise is limited in particular ways. And so you don't want to trust me to tell you how to live in light of the pandemic. Instead, you want to listen to philosophers to invite us all to take seriously how to trust people who are trustworthy, how to make sense of what it looks like being committed to truth-telling as a way of life. And the third thing is it's important to recognize that when we engage in the search for truth, that we show the necessary humility, that we don't have it all figured out. So in light of the fact that we've got to take the context seriously, what is the motivation behind who's speaking? Second, the expertise and authority seriously. Are they likely to be reliable as sources of this truth? Third, let's then have the humility to listen to people who are experts in ways that we may not be. And even those experts, the ones that I seek out, are the ones that show the humility to recognize, even in light of knowing a lot, they don't know everything. We've got to work together in order to move forward, and we cannot move forward if we don't have truth. Let's today seek truth. Let's live truthfully, but let's do it in ways that understand that we can't do it alone, and we need others to say of what is the case that it is the case, to say it with an awareness of where they find themselves, to say it with an understanding of their own epistemic authority, and also to say it with the humility that is required if all of us are going to get through this without thinking that we've got it all figured out. Thank you as always for watching. I hope that you're finding these compelling. As always, leave comments and suggestions for other topics or questions that you would like me to consider. I'll see you tomorrow unless a piano falls on our heads.